Gentlemen, let me begin with a truth so raw, so often ignored, yet so absolute. The world does not reward the man who waits to be noticed. It rewards the man who makes himself impossible to overlook. Attractiveness, my friend, is not a gift given to the lucky. It is a fire built by those who dare to strike the match, and let me say this with the utmost conviction. No man has ever become truly attractive by accident. He becomes attractive through intention, through design, through will. You see, men of power, men of presence, men who command the attention of a room without uttering a word. They are not born with some mysterious force that you lack. They simply know what the average man forgets, that attractiveness is an inside job, and the outside merely follows. Your walk, your eyes, your voice, they are not ornaments, they are weapons, and like any weapon, they must be sharpened. A sluggish step reveals a sluggish soul. A nervous glance reveals a trembling mind. A hesitant voice reveals a man uncertain of his own worth. But the man who knows himself, who walks with intention, whose eyes speak purpose, whose voice carries the weight of belief, he draws others in without effort. For he is not trying to attract, he is radiating what he already knows to be true, that he is valuable. There is no cologne in the world that will mask weakness. There is no designer suit that will hide insecurity. No haircut sharp enough to disguise a mind dulled by mediocrity. For when a man lacks discipline, lacks direction, lacks purpose, he leaks it through every pore. The scent of defeat is invisible, but unmistakable. But when you commit to building the body that reflects your inner drive, when you take care of your skin, not for vanity, but for dignity, when your clothes whisper class and your grooming shows self-respect, when your physical state is an outer echo of an inner order, you become magnetic. People feel the pulse of your effort. They respond to it. Not because you told them to, but because you earned it. Every day you are broadcasting a message to the world with your posture, your presence, your habits. The question is, what is that message? Are you saying, look past me or look at me? Are you signaling that you are a man worth knowing, or a man not even worth noticing? And hear me clearly, being attractive has nothing to do with symmetry and everything to do with energy. It has nothing to do with a chiseled jaw and everything to do with a chiseled mind. The magnetic man is the man who knows what he wants. He is not waiting for others to define him. He defines himself by his standards, by his rituals, by his philosophy. Women are not drawn to beauty. They are drawn to certainty. They are drawn to leadership. To the man who carries the burden of his dreams and walks as if he will reach them or die trying. That man could wear rags, yet look like royalty. That man could speak softly, yet shake mountains. Stop asking how to be handsome. Start asking how to be formidable. Stop chasing trends. Start building character. Build a mind that reads, a mouth that speaks with power, hands that create, a spine that never bends under pressure. Build the version of yourself that you would admire if you passed him on the street. Because once you do that, once you become the kind of man you can respect, you will no longer chase attraction. You will become it. You're not born attractive. That's a lie the world tells you so it can sell you something. Somewhere along the line, men began to believe that attraction was the birthright of the genetically gifted, the tall, the chiseled, the ones born under lucky stars. But the truth, the raw truth that burns through every illusion is this. Attractiveness is not inborn. It is engineered. It is the result of decisions, habits, and a relentless commitment to self-construction. You do not stumble into greatness. You do not fall into presence. You rise into it deliberately. You forge it with fire and purpose. The man who turns heads is not always the man with the best features. He is the man who has built himself. He is the man who walks into a room and doesn't shrink or search for permission. He walks in as if the world were built to recognize him. And it is, because the world reflects back what you broadcast. If you carry yourself like a shadow, you'll disappear. If you carry yourself like fire, you'll be noticed. This is not arrogance. This is self-honoring. This is self-recognition, not self-obsession. Think of the most attractive men in history. Not always models, not always actors, often warriors, often thinkers, often men who had something burning within them. Attractiveness is not about the face. It's about the force behind the face. When you see a man who has mastered himself, you feel it. You don't need to be told he's attractive. You know it. Because something about him triggers the instinct that says, this man has value. This man is going somewhere. There are no shortcuts. You cannot buy presents in a bottle. You cannot order magnetism online. You must build it piece by piece, choice by choice. You must choose not to be average. You must decide that mediocrity is not your size. It doesn't fit you, it never did. You have to step into the workshop of your own mind and go to war with the weaknesses that keep you small. You have to hunt down the habits that dull your edges, that soften your fire. You must engineer strength, physically, mentally, spiritually. A man with no mission is a man with no shine. But when you become the architect of your own identity, something shifts. You stop asking for attention and start commanding it. Every morning you stand in front of a mirror, and that mirror doesn't show you your face, it shows you your effort. It shows you whether or not you've been constructing or collapsing. Are you just existing, or are you evolving? Are you feeding your mind or numbing it? Are you training your body or letting it rot? Are you mastering your emotions or being ruled by them? Attractiveness is not one thing. It is the result of everything. It is the sum of your standards. And yes, the physical matters, because the physical is the visible proof of the invisible discipline. When your body is shaped by effort, it shows, not just in the muscles, but in the way you hold yourself, the way your clothes sit on your frame, the way you carry your spine. When your grooming is intentional, it tells people you have order, that you care about details, that you take yourself seriously. A man who respects his own appearance broadcasts a message that he can be trusted to respect other things too. Time, money, promises, boundaries. Self-presentation is not vanity, it is communication. You are a sculpture in progress. Every day is a chisel. The way you wake up, the way you speak. The food you eat, the thoughts you allow, the company you keep, the battles you fight silently. All of it is shaping you. All of it is preparing you for a moment you can't yet see. But when that moment comes, when opportunity knocks, or desire stirs, or destiny makes a quiet entrance, your level of preparation will determine how bright you burn. You do not get ready when the world is watching. You get ready when no one is watching. You engineer your attractiveness in private by winning the war within. This is not about pleasing others. This is about rising into your own ideal, becoming the kind of man you admire. When you walk past a mirror, do you nod in respect or look away? When you sit alone in silence, are you proud of the man you're becoming? Or haunted by the men you refuse to leave behind? These are the questions that shape kings. These are the moments where attractiveness begins. Not in public, not in crowds, but in solitude, in repetition, in mastery. Before a man speaks, the world has already heard him. Long before your lips part, your body has made a declaration. Your walk has whispered it. Your posture has confirmed it. Your presence has proclaimed it without permission. You are always saying something, even in silence. And in that silence, people decide if they'll listen to your words or ignore your noise. The truly attractive man understands this. He knows that his greatest language is nonverbal. He knows that presence is power, and that power is silent. Your presence is the stage. Everything else is just the performance. But if your stage is unstable, no performance will stand. Most men never grasp this. They spend years sharpening their words, polishing their charm, curating their look, yet they forget the deeper architecture. They forget that posture speaks confidence, that eye contact speaks certainty, that a still mind radiates through a still body. A man who walks with purpose, sits with ease, and breathes with rhythm sends signals louder than shouting. And the world listens. Think of a lion, not when it's roaring, but when it's still, unmoving, watching, breathing with calm dominance. That stillness carries more weight than chaos. It is the calm of the man who needs no validation. He does not ask for approval. He does not seek permission to exist. He arrives. He is present fully, without apology. The attractive man is not constantly trying to be noticed. He has built himself so completely that he becomes impossible to ignore. Attraction is felt before it is seen. That is the secret. People can feel when a man has done the inner work. They may not know what they're feeling. They may not understand why they're drawn, but something beneath the surface calls to them. And that something is presence. It is a calm confidence that doesn't perform. It doesn't seek applause. It doesn't broadcast need. It simply exists with strength. When a man has presence, the world slows around him. People listen when he speaks because they were already listening before he said a word. They felt the weight of his stillness. They noticed the silence between his movements. They saw how he entered a room not with noise, but with grounded certainty. There is a rhythm to such a man, a rhythm that doesn't beg for attention. It earns it quietly, effortlessly, powerfully. Presence is not posture alone, it is alignment. It is when the outer man reflects the inner man, when there is no contradiction, when what you say matches what you do, and what you do reflects what you believe. Most men live in fragments. They speak with one tone and live with another. Their posture says, "I'm here," but their energy says, "I hope I'm enough." The attractive man is integrated, whole. His body is not performing for others. It is simply expressing what is already true inside. A man's presence cannot be copied. It cannot be faked. You can mimic tone. You can borrow fashion. You can rehearse lines. But presence is earned. And it is earned in the hours of solitude, in the moments when no one is watching. It is built in the stillness where you meet yourself and decide to become something more. It is born in the quiet discipline of knowing who you are and living accordingly. That alignment breeds presence. That inner structure radiates outward and speaks louder than words. Most men try to fix the external. They think presence comes from clothes or titles or charm. But presence begins in the nervous system, in the breath, in the posture, in the eyes. When you breathe deeply, stand upright, and let your energy settle, you send a signal to the world that you are in control, not just of yourself, but of your environment. The room adapts to you, not because you demand it, but because you command it. Command without force is presence. That is the essence of attraction. You don't need to be loud to be felt. In fact, the louder you are, the more you reveal your own lack of stability. A man of presence does not fill silence with noise. He fills it with meaning. He doesn't chase attention. He becomes the source of gravity. Others orbit him because they can feel that he doesn't need them to. He is self-contained, complete, grounded. That is rare. That is unforgettable. The posture of a man reflects the posture of his life. Slouched shoulders are not just physical, they are symbolic. They speak of burdens, of doubts, of unresolved battles. But a man who stands straight without stiffness, who walks tall without arrogance, who moves with intention and rests with ease, he speaks of clarity, he speaks of peace, he speaks of power under control. That is the kind of man people follow. That is the kind of man others admire. Not because he asked to be, but because he earned it with every fiber of his being. Presence is not created in front of a mirror. It is created in the mirror of your own self-awareness. It is shaped by the way you rise in the morning and the way you carry your nights. It is forged in the gym when you show up tired. It is carved in your habits, your diet, your voice, your gaze. You are training the world how to treat you by the way you treat yourself when no one else is watching. That's where presence begins. That's where attraction is born. There is a reason why men who look like kings often don't need to say they are. The way they groom themselves, the way they dress, the way they appear in public. All of it speaks long before they ever need to. Their outer appearance is not just an aesthetic decision. It is a declaration of identity. Grooming and style are not luxuries. They are not superficial games for the vain. They are extensions of the inner self, reflections of discipline, order, and self-respect. A man who respects himself makes it visible. He uses the tools available to send a clear message. I value myself, and so should you. When you enter a room, people notice things you think don't matter. They see your shoes. They see your nails. They see the care you took with your hair, your scent, your shave. They notice the fit of your clothes, not because they are critics, but because human beings are wired to respond to signals. Every wrinkle, every stain, every lazy decision in your presentation tells them something. It tells them what kind of man you are, how seriously you take yourself, and how you expect to be treated. It tells them whether you've come to lead or blend in. It reveals whether you are precise or careless, elevated or unpolished, worthy of attention or easily dismissed. A man who grooms well is not chasing fashion. He is signaling command. He understands that self-presentation is a weapon. He does not dress to impress others. He dresses to mirror who he is and who he is becoming. He is sharp because his mind is sharp. He is clean because his boundaries are clean. He is intentional with his appearance because he is intentional with his life. And those who see him will feel it, even if they cannot explain it. Your grooming routine is your discipline made visible. When you choose to show up well-trimmed, well-fitted, well-balanced in your style, you are not decorating a shell. You are declaring, I care. You are telling the world, this is a man who honors details. You may think grooming is small. It is not. The small things are the first to slip when a man loses grip on his life. A man who neglects his grooming often neglects his finances, his goals, his integrity. It's all connected. The razor you ignore today becomes the standard you lower tomorrow, and soon you are a stranger in your own skin. Style is not about copying trends. Style is about understanding who you are and using fabric and form to extend that identity into the world. It is the armor of a man who is at war with mediocrity. When you wear clothes that fit, colors that suit your complexion, accessories that complement your energy, you are not just dressing, you are commanding attention. Not in desperation, but in clarity, in self-awareness, in power. People follow men who look like they're going somewhere. You may not have all the answers, you may not be at the finish line, but if you dress like a man who respects his journey, the world will take you more seriously. The boss will listen longer, the woman will look twice, the gatekeeper will reconsider. And this isn't vanity, it's psychology. Humans are visual. We judge, assess, and categorize based on appearance before words even arrive. The man who ignores this truth is not humble, he is careless. And don't let anyone fool you into thinking masculinity and grooming are opposites. The ancient warriors oiled their beards. The kings of history wore their finest robes and bathed in scented oils. The samurai cleaned their armor with religious devotion. The great men of every era took their appearance seriously, not to seek approval, but to reflect inner power. They understood that cleanliness, order, and presentation were forms of respect, both to themselves and to the world they served. Grooming and style are not just about how you look, they influence how you feel. When you walk out freshly shaved, well-dressed, with polished shoes and a scent that matches your personality, you walk differently. You speak with a little more conviction. You move with a little more authority. The mirror doesn't lie. When you like what you see, your energy shifts. Confidence is not just internal, it is physical, it is chemical. It is activated by your reflection, and that reflection is your responsibility. Never underestimate the message your grooming sends to the universe. A clean haircut may open a door. A polished shoe may invite respect. A tailored shirt may tilt a conversation in your favor. This is not manipulation, this is mastery. You are using every inch of yourself, body, face, scent, style, to move with force and elegance in a world that notices before it listens. You are saying without words that you are ready, that you are awake, that you are here to dominate, not just exist. Your physical presence is your first pitch. Your grooming is the opening sentence. Your style is your handshake. And long before people trust your words, they trust your image, or they don't. A man who commands respect begins by respecting himself. And grooming is how that respect becomes visible, not for approval, not for applause, but because you understand the truth. The outer world sees what the inner world chooses to reveal. And the man who sharpens his image sharpens his edge in every part of life. A man without purpose walks through life like a shadow, present but not seen, breathing but not alive. He drifts, reacts, copies, waits, but he does not move with force. He looks in the mirror and sees a stranger. His reflection asks him nothing, expects nothing, demands nothing. And so the world in turn gives him nothing. No attention, no admiration, no respect. Because people do not follow the undefined, they follow the man who knows exactly where he's going, even if he hasn't arrived yet. The most attractive men in the world are not the best looking. They are the most mission-driven. Purpose changes everything. It changes the way you walk. It changes the way you speak. It changes the energy behind your eyes. A man on a mission radiates focus. He doesn't have time for drama, for gossip, for self-doubt. His presence becomes urgent, serious, magnetic. He carries with him the scent of movement, of transformation, of destiny. You can feel it. He's not here to impress. He's here to build. He's not here to be liked. He's here to create impact. And that difference makes all the difference. The mission-driven man becomes more attractive because purpose is rare. Most people wander. Most are afraid to commit to a calling. Most dip their toes into 10 directions, but never dive into one. But when you meet a man who is fully submerged in a vision, you remember him. He speaks with fewer words, but greater weight. He doesn't argue small opinions because he's consumed with large goals. He doesn't explain his path to everyone because he's too busy walking it. That focus, that clarity, that intensity, it makes people curious. It makes people listen. It makes people follow. The man with purpose looks better not because his features changed, but because his presence did. His movements are more precise. His tone is more composed. His boundaries are stronger. His distractions are fewer. He becomes harder to shake, and that makes him more respected. Confidence flows naturally from clarity. When you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, you stop overthinking your worth. You stop trying to fit into places that don't align with your mission. You stop tolerating chaos. And when your standards rise, so does your value in the eyes of others. Purpose sharpens you. It forces you to upgrade. When you're committed to a vision, you train differently. You read with urgency. You network with intention. You dress with awareness. You wake up with reason. You sleep with direction. You treat your time like gold, your health like fuel, your mind like a weapon. Every choice either feeds your mission or starves it. And that kind of discipline is rare. That kind of fire is magnetic. People will wonder what you're building. They'll want to be around you, not because of what you have, but because of who you are becoming. There is something timeless about a man who is deeply driven. He could be broke, he could be young, he could be unknown. But if he's on fire with a vision, people sense it. And they don't need to understand the details to be drawn to the flame. The energy of purpose is primal. It wakes something up in others. It reminds them of their own sleeping potential. And in a world where most are numb, the man who is alive becomes the beacon. You don't have to scream your goals. You don't have to broadcast your hustle. The real mission-driven man carries his ambition quietly, like a sword behind his back. He lets his actions do the talking. He shows progress instead of posting it. He earns admiration instead of demanding. And in doing so, he separates himself from the crowd. He becomes not just another man, but a force. People will test you when you find your purpose. They will mock it, question it, try to distract you from it. Because when you rise, you remind them of what they've neglected in themselves. Do not flinch. Do not apologize. Do not dilute your fire. Keep building, keep becoming. The right people will recognize the blueprint in your eyes. The right people will be drawn to the discipline in your life. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to fulfill a mission that only you were born to complete. Your appearance matters. Your grooming matters. But none of it sticks without a mission. None of it lands without an engine of meaning driving it forward. You can have the best suit, the cleanest cut, the sharpest shoes, but if you have no purpose, you look like a man in costume. Just decoration, no substance, no story. But when your appearance reflects your mission, it becomes armor. It becomes a flag. It becomes a symbol of the kingdom you are building from the inside out. The most magnetic thing a man can wear is conviction, and that cannot be bought. It must be earned. It must be lived. It must be forged in struggle, in solitude, in obsession with something greater than comfort. Because when you move with purpose, the world moves with you. There is a sacred power in emotional control that few men ever discover. Most are slaves to impulse, pulled like puppets by anger, envy, insecurity, lust, and fear. They mistake reaction for strength. They lash out when challenged, collapse when rejected, tremble when pressured. But the truly attractive man is not ruled by his emotions. He rules them. He is not void of feeling. He feels deeply. But he has forged discipline from the chaos. His emotions serve him, they do not sabotage him. And in that mastery he becomes rare, he becomes unshakable. He becomes a man who others admire, respect, and trust. There is no dignity in being easily triggered. There is no power in being unpredictable. A man whose mood swings with the opinions of others cannot be trusted to lead, to build, to protect, or to inspire. A man who yells at small insults, panics under pressure, or falls apart at the first sign of resistance has not yet met his higher self. Emotional volatility is a form of weakness. And while the world may excuse it, it never respects it. The attractive man knows that composure is a currency. The more he has of it, the more influence he commands. It is not that the high-value man is cold. Far from it, he is warm. But his warmth is chosen, not chaotic. His anger, when it appears, is focused like a laser, not wild like fire. His joy does not make him reckless. His sadness does not sink him into self-pity. His fear does not paralyze him, it prepares him. He is a warrior who has made peace with the battlefield of emotion. And because of that, he carries a presence that others can rely on. In a storm, people look to the man who is still. In chaos, they turn to the man who is composed. That composure is not an accident. It is trained, it is earned. The attractive man is attractive not only for what he says, but for what he doesn't say when provoked. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't whine. He doesn't gossip or slander. His silence carries more strength than the loudest man in the room. He knows when to speak and when to hold, when to express and when to observe. His control over his tongue is control over his reputation, and his ability to hold his peace when the moment tempts him to lose it. That is the mark of maturity, of inner dominance, of real strength. Mastery of emotion doesn't mean you suppress everything. It means you direct everything. Anger becomes fuel. Pain becomes power. Rejection becomes redirection. Sadness becomes depth. The man who controls his inner world does not fear the outer one. He is not swayed by every glance, every opinion, every doubt. He has made decisions about who he is and where he is going, and nothing outside of him has the authority to unmake those decisions. That's why people follow him. That's why they trust him. That's why he stands out in a crowd without ever needing to raise his voice. Think of the great men in history. Think of the leaders, the philosophers, the warriors, the inventors. They were not perfect, but they had emotional control. They endured ridicule, betrayal, loss, and rejection, yet they advanced. They didn't let temporary feelings destroy permanent missions. They didn't crumble when misunderstood. They didn't collapse when opposed. They remained composed, and their presence changed the world. Because presence without composure is shallow, but presence with composure is legendary. A man's emotions are not his enemy. They are his compass, his teachers, his fuel. But only when he leads them. When emotions lead him, he is a slave. When he leads his emotions, he is a king. And kings don't react to everything. They choose their response. They measure their impact. They carry the weight of their crown with grace. That grace, that inner stillness, is the invisible force behind every truly magnetic man. When you control your emotions, you become dangerous, not to others, but to the mediocrity that once ruled your life. You stop giving energy to what drains you. You stop chasing those who don't see you. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You begin to attract what you deserve, because you finally see that you deserve better. Emotional mastery unlocks clarity. Clarity unlocks direction. Direction unlocks results. And results unlock respect from mothers and from yourself. And that, my friend, is what separates the common man from the extraordinary one. You want to be more attractive? Master the mirror first. Not just the one on your wall, but the one inside you. The one that reflects your thoughts, your reactions, your triggers, your hidden wounds. Face them, train them, transcend them. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be in control. Because at the end of the day, the man who cannot control himself will always be controlled by others. But the man who can command his inner world becomes irresistible to the outer one. That man walks into a room and changes the temperature. That man speaks, and the noise of the world quiets down. That man lives not just with presence, but with power. If this message has awakened something in you, if you feel the call to rise above the average and craft yourself into a man of elegance, strength, and undeniable magnetism, then I invite you to continue your transformation with us. Follow our channel, Oliver Napoleon Hill, where we reveal the timeless principles of true masculine greatness. Your journey doesn't end here, it begins now.